Hi, I'm Warren Sprouse. This is the Bible Forum. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We'd love for you to join us live and get involved in our chat room or whatever you want to do. This was the week that we saw a Dallas sniper kill 5 police officers and a couple of civilians for no reason that we can tell from what he said, except to even the score. It was a black man. He just thought the police were unfair, wanted to take revenge on this. Growing out of this, there was a tweet that was posted. It comes with 2 hashtags. One is Black Power, and the other is Black Knights. And in this tweet, it says, "Sniper assassins take down 5 police officers, and more will be assassinated in the coming days. Do you like the work of our assassins? Get your own sniper rifle and join our thousands of sniper assassins worldwide in the fight against oppression." In the picture that I put on the blog, you can find this blog at thebibleforum.net. But the picture that I found to go along with this blog features a woman wearing a shirt with the motto, "Argue Religion." In the aftermath, President Obama addressed the situation from Poland, saying the attack that killed the Dallas police officers and wounded 6 more was, quote, "a vicious, calculated, and despicable attack on law enforcement," end of quote. He continued by saying that there was no possible justification for these kinds of attacks or any violence against law enforcement. So the question becomes, what's going on? If we focus on this singular event, we'll find any number of causes, real or supposed, none of which will actually be the real cause. So what is the real cause? The real cause is nothing less than the breakdown of our culture. American culture is rooted in our founding documents and in the routine behavior of ordinary Americans over the last 200 years. The documents vest power with the citizenry based on reason, responsibility, and Christian religion. American greatness is rooted in the character of her people and in minimal government interference. Hard work that produces a reasonable rate of return was the hallmark of our culture for the first 190 years. And then came the Great Society. This was a government program to guarantee a much beleaguered and abused segment of society that they too could reap from the coffers of those who had been taking from them over these last 200 years plus. This admittedly progressive program was nothing less than an attack on the very soul of American culture. It was proposed and propagated by the very same group that had kept Americans of African descent out of the mainstream for 300 years. It was in many ways a payoff. It was also a way to keep these folks enslaved to them. They don't own them anymore in the classic sense of the word, but they have bought and paid for them. And these folks vote for those people regularly. The fallacy is rooted in the fact that not all Americans had abused black people. Instead of penalizing only those involved in this hateful process, the corporate plantation owners made certain that everyone paid their fair share. You see, that's the progressive way. You heard Bernie Sanders. He built his whole campaign on that. The result? The system switched from something rooted in objective morality to one rooted in a secular progressive morality, creating something completely new. A new economic system, one not based on anything concrete like gold or silver. A new moral system, one that rewards people who don't do anything. A new social system, one that honors dysfunctional morality. A new religious system, one that merely entertains the masses. All of this empowers the financial and the political class while destroying the middle class and dehumanizing the underclass. Our social policies have destroyed the family. Family is the basic building block of society. The roaming bands of young people so prevalent on the streets after midnight are the result of this. They are now killing their babies with a clear conscience. They are not forming traditional family structures. Why? Because the government, our new religious leaders, say none of that is necessary. The children who actually survive all of this are then largely left to fend for themselves, at least morally, in many ways socially, and often in terms of education. They do not learn the reality of the word no. They do not have an authority in their lives they must obey. They live in a violent world filled with foul language, drugs, and disorder. They do not eat healthy diets. They do not live a healthy lifestyle. They do not know peace nor safety. But they know that all of this is the white man's fault. Enter Black Lives Matter. The crime rate for young black males is off the chart high per capita. The Department of Justice reported that despite making up just 13% of the population, blacks commit almost half of all homicides in the United States. 52% compared to 45%. That's in the last, leading up to 2008. I think it's 1998 to 2008. The FBI statistics are largely the same. In 2013, black criminals carried out 38% of murders, compared to 31% for whites, despite the fact that there are 5 times more whites than blacks in America. And blacks kill whites 8 times more often than the other way around, while whites are twice as likely to be killed by police than are blacks. Did I mention blacks make up only 13% of the population? Now, this doesn't mean that police officers should shoot and kill black perpetrators simply because statistically they're more likely to get killed by them. But it does sensitize all of us to the fact that there's a greater likelihood of being killed by a black man than by a white man. And given the strident attitude of many young black males, the stereotype is constantly reinforced. The shooter in Dallas this week claimed to be acting in harmony with Black Lives Matter, a demonstrably racist group, or at least philosophy, when you listen to what they say about themselves. Watching the TV coverage of that event and listening to the reports afterwards, it is clear, as it generally is, that most black Americans do not share this animus. A walk on any normal American street or the parking lot of stores and malls will reveal a plethora of pleasant, friendly, helpful black and white Americans. However, the squeaky wheel always gets the grease. So what's the solution? Well, the problem is rooted in our soul, our collective soul. So the solution must come from that same source. When, if America ever returns to her roots, she will immediately strengthen that family. When the family unit is intact and it's functional, most of these problems will go away. Why? Because children will have homes and loving parents who actually nurture those children. Because these parents will connect with other parents of all sorts to build a society rather than 35 independent social political groups. Because in a healthy family, children are taught respect and discipline and character. Because in a healthy family, children are encouraged, helped to get a good education. We need to be responsible with social media comments. It is far too easy to vent a frustration or to start a social movement. When all the facts are finally revealed, the vast majority of these emotional outbursts are going to be found as wrong, misguided, or just pure self-serving propaganda. And lastly, although far from being the least, in a healthy family, God will be an important person. Feed the body, feed the mind, exercise both, and you have a functional human being. But feed the soul, and you have a balanced person. We outlawed God from the public discourse, and he was dismissed by the family. And what we're seeing now is the result of this critical error. It's not limited to the United States. Our northern neighbor, Canada, is going through the same thing. There is a war against biblical religion. The numbers of Christian organizations losing lawsuits against their spiritual beliefs and standards are fast stacking up in Canada. Bible believers are increasingly finding themselves under siege, discriminated against in courts throughout all of North America. Unbiblical laws, particularly those favoring the LGBTQs, are the ones seemingly causing the most damage to the uncompromised practice of the Christian faith and are institutionalizing the persecution of Christians. The heat of persecution against Christians is rising, and examples abound. In a Canadian appeals court, for example, they have just ruled that Trinity Western University's standards were discriminatory and compared the matter to the 1983 U.S. Supreme Court ruling over Bob Jones University's opposition to interracial marriage. The court said the covenant is a document that discriminates against the LGBTQ persons by forcing them to renounce their dignity and self-respect in order to obtain an education. The judges stated that the law school may live out its Christian convictions but without accreditation. Trinity Western University expressed concern over the decision, finding it a government intrusion. The university plans to appeal to the Canadian Supreme Court. This is a university that is not state-owned. This is a private university. Why are they not able to run their school the way they want to? Because our minders have better ideas. Well, their ideas are not helping.